It's me, Donkey Llama, back at you with another video. I love saying it like that. It reminds me of like this dude wearing a Speedo walking around shaking everyone's hand and they don't really want to do it, but he makes them smile anyway at the end of it, even how awkward it was. It's just like, we love you, man. Anyway, so what I want to be talking about today is a little bit of the contest. So a lot of people were kind of confused as to what it was, and I realized that not everybody knows what bleach is. And you know, me coming from a background of most of my friends being anime nerds, and a huge population of the people I knew who Kurosaki Ichigo was and what bleach is. But I'm realizing now that not everybody had access to Adult Swim or Crunchyroll. So basically the concept of bleach is when you die, you go to a place where you have an option. You can either rest for eternity or you can fight demons for eternity. And it's designed around the concept that Buddhism has. And it's vaguely is not the word I should use. It's loosely based off of Buddhist teachings in that when you die, you can go to certain places in hell. And one of those places is a place that Hucamundo in Bleach is based off of, where there's hungry souls looking to devour your soul. And those, in which case, if you're Christian like me, you refer to those as demons, right? Evil deities looking to cause you harm. In the Bleach world, the whole point is that you are slaying these beasts in a feudal era Japan setting. And these beasts are decrepit, disgusting, and have a hole in their heart, symbolizing demons. Now, when you're fighting against these beasts, your power can range depending on your age. And not just depending on your age, but depending on what's called spiritual energy. This is a real thing, right? Spiritual energy can be known as frequency, chi, haki, spirit, like, there's a whole bunch of different terms you can use for this. This is not something new. This is not a concept that is just pulled out of somebody's ass. This is something that comes up very rarely, but does come up in history, where there's somebody with this aura around them. Whether it be an aura of silver tongue, where they can convince anybody of anything, or this aura that they're indestructible, or this aura that they're extremely dominant, right? There are these few cases in history where we find these people, and much so, the Society of Bleach has these people, and they're called the Gotei 13, the 13 strongest members of the Gotei. The Gotei is the entire world of the Seirei. The Seirei is the place where you are living, which is made up of districts like feudal era Japan, but this would be kind of like your heaven and your purgatory areas. And you can join the military that offers, and the military is known as the Gotei 13 that I just previously mentioned. Now, out of everybody who dies and decides to join up with the military, and out of everybody who dies and decides just to rest for eternity, the 13 are the strongest, and those 13 are labeled in the history books and have Bankai. That's what makes them so powerful, is they have access to this power. And that's what my contest is based off of, is that power of Bankai, right? They spend a millennia learning how to use this technique. So for you to truly appreciate the values of this contest, just know that what this is based off of is anything else. The harder you work, the better the outcome. The higher the risk, the better the reward. And that's what Bankai is. It is the greatest reward for your hard work. And, you know, only 13 characters are supposed to have access to this. Now we find out later, blah, 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 there are others that have access to this power. But for the most part, everybody who has access to Bankai is entered in the history books of the Seirei. So thousands and thousands of years of passed down knowledge. You are part of that knowledge of thousands of years if you have access to a Bankai. And a lot of these characters have, you know, dedication written all over them, right? Like we have Byakuya. He is all about his craft. And the way you access Bankai is you build a relationship with your weapon, right? And at first, you just have a standard katana, and you pour your Ryatsu, which is your spirit energy, you pour your spirit energy into this thing, and communicate with it. And the better that communication gets, the better you are in battle with it. And the better you are in battle with it, that communication and bond gets stronger and stronger until you can change its appearance based off your spiritual energy. And this spiritual energy takes on the form that you value, what your values can be, or what you, in some cases, fear most. It can take the form of that, and that makes you more adept in combat. That makes you more equipped when you're going in against something 4 times the size of you. This will compensate you no matter what. It is your bond. It is you, we later find out, is the true form of your Bankai and Shikai. It is you. Now, your Bankai will manifest and take a form of its own, as we see later. This is kind of the mid stage. When you reach Bankai, you're in the middle of forming that permanent relationship, right? And a lot of times we see these characters in their final moments, they finally understand what their Bankai is. And so a lot of times what your Shikai will sort of end up doing in this process of transforming into Bankai, it'll show up more frequently. It'll appear to you as an apparition of something that you've never seen before, but value, right? And it'll be loosely based off of value. Like in Renji's case, his is brute strength and power, right? Or maybe it's ambition, we should say, which it takes the form of a baboon and a snake. The baboon representing raw power and raw strength and ferocity, and the snake representing ambition. And that's why his Zanpakuto takes the form of what it takes. Much like Kenpachi's. Kenpachi's is just a huge fuck-off katana, right? But when he releases his Shinkai, it's a giant cleaver for hacking and dismantling. And that's what he loves. He loves battle, he loves combat. What better way to take any form than one that can just chop, chop, chop and have more fun in battle, just rip off pieces, right? So when you're thinking about this contest, something to take in is what a Zanpakuto and a Bankai really is, and what you value, right? To me, I value pride. That's what I have. That is what I manifest in, is pride. And too much pride can be a deadly sin, much like greed, but maybe you value something like loyalty. So think of something that could loyally benefit you, right? Let's say you make a Zanpakuto that is only defense based, right? And it'll sacrifice itself for you, so it becomes a giant shield, right? Whenever the enemy attacks, it doubles the damage back onto the enemy, but the enemy has to strike that shield first. That could be a symbolism of loyalty right there, right? It's destroying itself for you in the form of a shield. And when I say destroying, it might not be destroyed in the physical sense, but it is taking these beatings for you to protect you. That would be like a sense of loyalty. I don't know. I'm just giving you some thoughts for food, or food for thoughts, or however that saying works. But some other ideas, mine personally, and I really wanted to take this video a different route. I didn't know I'd be going all into Bleach. But, for example, I made a Zanpakuto last night. Now, this isn't what I'm going to be announcing during the contest, because I will have a special Zanpakuto that I will feed a lot of thought into and make my Bankai. But this is just one I came off the top of my head that I always thought would be cool. And this one is called the Water Giant God Slayer, right? And I thought this was super cool idea. I thought it would be amazing, and it really would. So here's what I thought of last night. I thought of a Zanpakuto that has I'd say a 3-foot handle. So it's got a very long handle to begin with, and it takes the form of another 4 feet of sickle, of blade, right? So think of a giant sickle with the edge backwards. So the curvature is faced this way. It's not hooked. It's faced the opposite direction. So it is hooked, but this is the back side, and this would be the edge. So it's shaped almost like a curved knife, right, that they fight with a reverse sickle, essentially. And what this does is when I announce my Shikai, that's the shape it takes. It's a 4-foot handle with a 4-foot blade with that curvature of a reverse scythe. And when I announce my Bankai, that's when it changes to the most beautiful Zanpakuto with different colors radiating. So you have reds, you have blues, you have yellows, greens, constantly switching colors from the rainbow. And when I slash with it, it creates water vapor so hot, it just disintegrates everything in sight of the slash. And because it's water, it expands. So when I slash in the air, this expands into a giant slash that can slash down buildings, monsters, whatever. It just slashes everything in its wake, super hot water, and I can get a wide range of attack with it. Now, because it is a long range attack and it is a larger attack, my enemies who are smaller, who are more close quarter combat, these are not the enemies that I want to be facing, right? They can get in, jab me with it, stab me, ow, I'm done. But now going back to the values thing, I love it when something goes out of its way for me, or when someone goes out of their way for me. And the colors, like I said before, my pride, those represent my pride, right? When you have a lot of colors, that drags on a lot of attention, which boosts your ego. I'm not saying I've got a giant ego. I don't. But I'm saying, like, that's kind of what it represents in a vague sense. And you can use that on your Zanpakutos as well. Just take into account something you value. I'm not requiring it, obviously. Some of you have some really cool Bankais already. I mean, I was surprised. Like, for instance, Audrey and Simran, you guys came up with some incredible Bankais without even knowing what Bleach really is or represents, or what a Bankai really is. Right? You guys already got the gist. You're like, okay, magical sword that I have the power to control, well, here's what it would be, and it's still reflected on something you value, right? And that's what I thought would happen anyway, but I thought I would just let you guys know that's kind of what I'm looking for as well. It's not going to deduct or add on any points. It's just something cool to see and food for thought. But yeah, so basically going back and recapping everything, a Bankai is made from millennia of training, and in the process you realize your values, and that's when it transforms from a Zanpakuto to a Shikai, from a Shikai to a Bankai. Is when you start realizing those values and what that Shikai and Zanpakuto represents, and then it manifests into a Bankai and makes you realize what's really important to you. And I think that's what Kubo was trying to make when he made Bleach. Now, as far as what some of the rules are, I don't think I need many rules on this. A lot of you guys thought there would be a ton of rules as far as, you know, what I would restrict on this. I'm not restricting too much at all. I just want you guys to participate. I couldn't care less if you just sent me a regular fucking sword and said, it's a sword that shoots letters, and it shoots swords. And it, you know, draw like an illustration of it shooting the word sword at somebody. I couldn't care less. That's still fun to see, right? I just want everybody to participate and give them the opportunity to win something cool, to have a lot of fun, to talk with their friends about what they made. You know, just something extracurricular that you guys can have fun with and that I can have fun with as the judge. But anyway, guys, this has been Donkey Llama signing out. I don't know why I did that. It just felt right in the moment. I'm sorry. Don't hurt me.